before, I never have.
So, and then this will, okay, so we're gonna do workshops instead of having it after the meetings.
If there was one you talked about having it after the meeting. So, yes, I went back and listened to the tape, because we changed our minds several times during the process there. But it's all fluid right now. So, let's see, this is the Finance Committee meeting scheduled for June 13th, 2019. We have Howard and Deborah here. Our other two members, Heather and Bob, are absent at other commitments. So we're going to sign some warrants during the meeting.
Yep.
And then we're excited about the budget calendar, so we're going to zip right there and work on that now from our notes from our last meeting and the tape and everything. So why don't we just start at the top. I'm going to give the department heads, they always get 3 weeks in order to put their budget together. But they also get a reminder well in advance of the budget calendar. Yeah. So at the beginning. So August 14th, the budget forms and instructions to the department heads, the staff, and the other entities that we deal with will all be out. So they'll have all of their information. And this is where you may have to, you know, if you're going to talk about what the goals are, you're going to have a discussion before I give them all of the information.
So then, I would really like us to start, not just, I would like the council to start having regular workshop meetings on the weeks in between the regular meetings, so that we have an opportunity to discuss stuff like that as a complete council, not just the finance committee.
You mean discuss the budget?
Yes. I would like.
We're going to have to discuss the budget ahead of when we give up the
Right,
forms.
and I'd like to do it with the whole, I would like everybody to have those department budgets, and I'd like the entire council to be at a workshop before we have to actually do things.
So to get the budgets from the departments, they have to know what the goals are. So
That would be,
So I think we've got to get back ahead of 8/14 and at least have one workshop in which we, you all decide what you're going to do here.
which is gonna be difficult
It's
because
going to be very difficult.
there's too many things
I
that
know.
we have to do.
I know.
And again, people are not gonna be happy, just like the email I got last night. Unfortunately, these are the things that we must do.
Yeah, we can't always rely on the taxes.
Right. Because not everybody pays their taxes, so,
Well, in any case, that's another subject. So it
I'm
looks like
looking
you
at-
have to have a workshop in July.
can't we just make that meeting in July the workshop as opposed to an official meeting?
I'm sure there'll be things to discuss.
Oh, yes, we'll have a lot of items because we've got,
Mm.
we got the bicentennial week and then we got a couple of weeks after that.
And then you only got one meeting in July
Right,
anyway.
so it'll be a
and
long
one meeting in
agenda.
August.
Yeah. So I think you're gonna have to have a workshop in order to concentrate on the budget.
So, alright.
In fact, I don't think you need to have it near the beginning of July. The first week in July is the Independence Day.
Yeah.
The second week's Egg Festival, third week's Town Council. I mean, you could have one the 4th or 5th,
The fourth week, yeah, the fourth week I'm fine. You got time in the fourth week?
So if that worked, it would be July 23rd. And again, this is just our little preliminary planning tool here.
Right. Now, because Finance Committee meets on Thursday, so are we gonna put the workshops on Tuesdays so that we can get all the counselors?
We'd be more apt to get the counselors.
Okay. I mean, they're just workshops, we can't,
What would we
We should
discuss
just-
at that workshop in July?
the goals.
We would have to set goals for the budget, what the items are. We
What
talked
do we
about
want
what
to
are our
do next year?
priorities, what do we wanna do next year?
And I think the most important thing is infrastructure.
Well,
Don't
that
you?
would be based on some of the priorities from this year that we just didn't carry over or.
Mhm, yeah, or ones from prior years too, yeah.
Unfortunately, there's probably stuff hanging around from many prior years,
There could be.
if you think about it.
Mhm. Most of the resolutions for the reserves and the monies we were supposed to spend, with the exception of one, I think everything was done, and that one didn't bother me because it was highway, and it was for gravel resurfacing of the roads, so actually having it's been helpful when something's washed out, because we already have permission to get the gravel
Right,
and use the money.
okay.
So I think that's the only one with monies that were allocated that's still there.
Yeah, I would really like to look at infrastructure and the buildings, not just the town hall, but the other buildings.
We would have to look at all buildings, we need a
The
building.
highway department needs a new building. They got a hole in the roof that when it rains, they get rained on when they're going to the bathroom.
Well, they're gonna have to fix it.
But, and
Even-
maybe they already have
Yeah,
temporarily,
yeah,
but
a
I mean,
patch job, at least temporarily.
and the building is gross.
Okay, well, in any case, we do need a facilities plan for all the buildings, yes.
So that would be one of the goals, is infrastructure, putting together a facilities plan. Yes, no?
We do inspections of the buildings, it used to be 2 times a year, I think last year it went to 1 time, but it was pretty comprehensive. So we're gonna have to do those before we have this meeting. Yeah.
Right. So we know exactly.
Just to know where
what
we're at.
infrastructure,
Yes.
just so we know what it is we need to do.
Okay.
So who usually does those inspections?
Donnie Shute does them with the department head.
I think I'd like to be part of that.
Well, it would be
I know.
interesting, yeah,
I-
that
You
actually
know.
would be helpful. Mhm.
What do you think, Howard? To have a council member?
I don't have a problem with it.
You wanna go too?
If I'm available, I
Okay.
might, yeah.
All right, so if you know like the week
We'll set up the
before,
schedule.
then you could let us know.
Yeah, I found the schedules are pretty fluid, but we're gonna have to just nail it down.
Yeah.
So that others can attend.
Exactly. I think that's a good idea.
No, I think that is excellent. We have a lot of facilities.
We do.
It is amazing.
And
We'll take you down on a tour through the lagoons in the truck.
I have never been down there.
Interesting place.
Yes.
Do I need a gas mask? when I
No,
go there?
no, actually, you
No.
wouldn't
I
even
know,
know it was
yes.
a lagoon.
It's
Because
true.
it got cleaned out.
But it actually is in really good order, and
Yeah.
some people have thought that it's a pond,
Yeah.
and we won't go any further on that.
Okay. Do you have no swimming
Oops.
signs up?
We had to
No
put up-
fishing
no,
signs?
You weren't on the count, neither, you might have been. Remember the gentleman that wanted to hunt down at the lagoon?
Yes.
And he was adamant, and he came with his buddies, and he wouldn't take no for an answer. We put up the signs and told him he had to leave the facility. And then finally, the council just had to lay the law down. I mean, it's not safe. I understand he thought the ducks were wonderful and they were in really good shape because they were down there eating things. That just wasn't good.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to eat those ducks, that's
All
for
right, so we'll
sure.
leave that alone.
All right, so the first order of business is to, what's the word I'm looking for?
Inspection of
Thank
the
you.
facilities.
Inspect the facilities.
Mhm.
Then we have the meeting.
Mhm. We're gonna have to have a workshop meeting in
And a
July.
workshop,
At the
yeah.
end, I'm
Yeah.
sure, that'll be fine. So that could be July 23rd or the 30th, depending on everybody's schedules.
Workshop. 7, what days did you say?
23 or 30.
23 or 30, to keep on the Tuesdays.
Okay, and at that workshop, we're gonna set the goals.
Yes, yes. Mhm.
And I think that would be, because I had talked to Catherine about having a workshop about the budget. In other words, bring this year's budget to the table, all of us, and just sit and talk about it so we can get a feel. We never get to sit together and just discuss something. And so the workshops are my idea. It gives us an opportunity, even though we have an audience and they will not be allowed to speak. It is a workshop, but they can be present. It gives us a chance to know what each of us is thinking. You know,
You'll be
on
able
a
to-
meeting night comes to a vote and I look across to that side of the room and I have no idea. I mean, sometimes I do, but a lot of times I don't. And I just think we all need to.
Well, we have to make a change in what we're doing with the budget, so the only way to do it is the workshops, which are an excellent idea, and they do work if the rules are followed.
The rules
So that
will be
So
followed.
that you're not constant back and forth. And then that will help us, because we've got to change the budget around, we've got to talk about what the priorities are in order to do actual goals, because the goals were too conservative, and then last year the goal was too liberal. Or too expansive, I would say, too expansive.
Well,
So
we have a
something-
lot of things that we have to do, and there's some new things that we have to discuss, like the possibility that Stan might give up another one of the routes that puts 3 routes
Oh, I think
onto the highway department.
He intends to do
You,
it.
is that the feeling you get?
Oh, yes, yes.
Because you said he told you he wanted to retire.
He's told many people, yes.
So that means we would have to have in that, just
Mhm.
talking around the table
Mhm.
is discussion about adding personnel and buying another piece of equipment,
Mhm. We've got one more person.
which is going to,
But we need another one, yeah.
a lot of things I'm going to bring up, I just wanna warn everybody, probably not gonna make people happy, but I
No.
want to say them so that people will start thinking about it.
Good.
You got that email last night, correct? I don't want to,
Email last night.
did you get an email last night?
General concern in that area. Howard says I get too many emails.
Check your email.
I hope you never get over 200.
That particular
When I was working full-time, I did.
I still get a ton of emails.
Oh, yeah.
That's what she was talking about to you yesterday, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay. We need to make people understand that just because we have these things, these services, that we are at a point where they cannot be wholly sustained by taxes.
Oh, recreation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we need to have one voice. This council needs to have one voice about the budget. Granted, there's gonna be disagreements or whatnot, or whatever. I mean, everybody's gonna have their little favorite spot. I don't have a favorite spot. I think all of it needs to be done. And I've talked with a few people about things like for example, the transfer station sticker. They pay $1 for it, and then they never have to buy one again. Anywhere I ever live, you pay an annual fee, and you get a new sticker every year, and until that sticker is visible, you don't get to go to the dump.
Now, let's work on this,
Yes.
this
Yes.
one,
Right.
so
Yes.
leave the
Yes.
specifics.
Sorry.
out for now.
Okay.
Yeah. We will definitely need
So-
at least one
so-
workshop to discuss all the specifics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll insert some steps so that we can get to this point where the
So-
budget forms and instructions to the department heads and everybody else can be given out on 8/14.
Yes,
So we'll put in the facilities inspections, and I'll get some dates for that. And we'll put in the workshop in July. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna list both dates, just so we can choose one that most people can come to.
Right?
Okay. Then we're on to the steps. And so this has the steps that you discussed at the last meeting, plus the steps I do, because it just seemed best to keep it all
Just put it
together.
all together,
Make sure
absolutely.
it gets on there.
Yes, comprehensive.
Yes,
So 8:14, everybody gets their paperwork with their budget goals.
yeah,
8:23, I do the draft revenue budget, I'm working on it now, actually. 9:4, everybody's gonna bring their budget request back. And then 9:6 through 9:11, there'll be department conferences as necessary. Some people don't need a conference because everything's just in really good order, we just talk, you know.
that would probably be Donnie
It was always Lynn.
that needed help, or
No,
no, that had it down
it's
to.
so good, yes, yes. And I think it probably, you know,
Well,
we'll have one with
get,
Holly.
we'll get them going.
Yeah, because Holly will be new, so we'll definitely have one. So some people, we just discuss the items, some we need to discuss it multiple times, and some I have
Right.
to pursue it. And so 9:12 will be the first finance committee meeting, and you'll go over all the budget requests, because you'll have seen them and gotten them.
We'll have seen it, we'll have the original budget, so
Yes.
that's what we'll be talking about at
Yes,
that meeting.
yes, yep.
Okay,
You'll have them as soon as you'll probably get them in bunches, because you'll get the ones that came in on time.
and then the
yeah,
stragglers.
And then we'll
Yeah.
continue on,
That's,
yeah.
yep, not a problem. And you know what, Catherine, just scan them in and send
Yeah.
them that way.
Well, that's what we'll do.
I mean,
That'll
that
be
just
very
makes it,
easy.
send it in an email.
Yeah, that'll be very easy, because it's not the big budget book or anything.
Right.
It has to be delivered, because we're just doing the beginning steps. So then we got our first finance committee meeting, and then you'll have questions and items that you want more information on. And then I'll have more little meetings with people as needed, 9:13 to 9:20. And then you
Yeah.
have your second finance committee meeting, of which hopefully we have all the other budgets by then.
Okay.
As soon as I get them, you'll get them.
Well, if somebody doesn't look like they're gonna have it done, then the alternative is we do it for them.
The alternative has been that Catherine has done it and told them that I'm gonna keep it at the same amount plus the whatever increases go in for personnel, and that's not what we want to do.
No, we don't wanna do, so people should be on time with what they're asked
Yeah,
to do.
and generally that solves it, but once in a while it doesn't. Revenue budget will be finalized by the end of September, that's what I will do. And then by
The
October.
revenue budget
Yeah, that's
includes,
it's the second part of the budget. You first have your expenditure, and right behind it is the revenue. And so that will be state revenue, local road assistance program, all of the fees, the excise tax, theater
Okay.
revenue, recreation revenue,
Okay.
and water sewer and all of that.
and that will be what we expect for the
Projected.
next year.
Yes.
It's projected revenue.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yep.
So that'll be the projected revenues.
Okay.
And then on 10/4, I'll finish the expenditure budget, and then I'll have the weekend in case I need to keep working on it, so that you can get your completed budget, which is the whole budget book, delivered to you on 10/11 sometime. So you'll get that whole book, unless some of you are driving by and can pick it up. So then, you've got your whole book, and then you've got some time, because on 10/22 is your first budget workshop. And so that's a full workshop, which you would do your overall review of the revenue budget, capital, the expenditure. And then this is where we may move things around. I just broke them up into different categories. I thought on 11/6, which is a regular meeting, moved to the Wednesday because of the election. You said you would do a few items that were the easiest ones after the meeting. So I put the budgets that normally are the easiest budgets, elections, general assistance, insurances, things like that.
All of that which doesn't really increase that much.
They're generally not the larger ones at all, yeah.
And now, it says council, but we don't have a budget anymore.
You just have a tiny budget, which you have.
Can't that just be added into the administrative budget?
We could do that. It has the MMA dues in there, and then a miscellaneous for, for sympathy, arrangements and things.
Oh, okay, all right.
From the council, yeah.
Mm.
So, we can talk about that. I'll look at that to see if I have to keep that in there. So these are pretty much the smaller budgets. And I thought it would be nice that, once you had your overall review, and then you had your workshop after the regular meeting, you'd have these accomplishments, because these are the smaller ones to go through, and not the harder ones to do. And then we'll hit on 11-12, which is a workshop, your capital expenditures and debt service, because that's the hard part. And then at the next regular meeting, because we have to make the motions at the regular meetings, we'll set the budget to public hearing. And it may be the original budget, or there may be some changes. Yeah, usually it's been the original budget. And then we do the amendments at the public hearing. And you have the sheet and everything, so you know what they are.
So on the 26th,
Is the more, the larger budgets.
right, okay, so after we do the smaller budgets
Mhm.
and the capital,
Yeah.
then we'll set those to public hearing?
The whole thing
It's
will go to
all done
public
at
hearing.
once, isn't it?
Pardon?
It's all done at once.
It's all done at once, yeah. It's
But
a
yet we will not have done the other,
We never have, because of you'd have to really start awful early to be able to set the real budget to public hearing. For many years, it was the same budget. It's just the last couple of years it hasn't been, last 3 maybe. So, because of the charter, administrative code, and all the regulations, it has to be set to public hearing so that you have to have enough time to have it in the paper. And if you set it in between your two weeks, it doesn't work. So you gotta have a larger period of time. And because ads have gotten filed up at the paper before, we need leeway time. So we
Okay.
just set the original budget.
so the 5th of November is election.
Yes.
Is that what you're
Yeah.
telling me? So the
Yes.
6th is a workshop after a meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. You all talked about doing that, so I put your easier ones there.
And then the 12th
That
is a
would be-
regular workshop.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you'll need that time and concentration.
19th is a meeting where we set the whole budget,
Mhm.
but yet we'll still be working on it.
Yes, and you always are,
Yeah, and that's set a month basically a
Yes.
month in advance.
just to make sure we get it in on time, don't have any issues.
I just like the idea of having workshops so that
Mhm.
we can have discussions, because I think it's too hard to have those discussions in front of the public first. Like, we should be having the discussions about budgets or whatever it is, then bring it up at a meeting. Um,
Because people can still come to the
They can
workshop.
still come to the workshop, but it gives us a chance to discuss whatever it is we're doing, and then we bring it to the meeting
Mhm.
and have a full discussion on it
Mhm.
with the public. I think that ties into being more transparent
Mhm.
if we have workshops.
Mhm. Well, they can see what people's thoughts are, you can see all the thought patterns, they'll have all the information. And then, once we're more formally working on it, then they can make comments and stuff. Yeah. No, that sounds good.
Well, I think the schedule looks pretty good.
So I thought.
I'm gonna have to make a master calendar.
Yes, I know, lots of meetings here.
Put all these dates in.
So the actual workshops, the 12th and the 26th have the more complicated things on them.
Right.
And the one where we do the overall review on 10/22, that will probably have a lot of questions and general things, so that'll be a bit more complicated too. And then we go through.
That's a regular workshop,
Yes.
not a meeting.
And I
Okay.
think probably some other questions will probably come up at that point.
Catherine, where will we discuss, like the added not just capital expenditures, but
Mhm.
additional items like we
Okay.
had the last
So
couple of
depending
years.
on how you do your goals, either we'll just incorporate them all in, or we'll just put them into the budget, and figure out where to put them.
So-
Maybe they would go, they
They
need to
would-
go earlier.
So they would be included in the department
They
budget per
could be,
se?
or they could be in the separate budget. It just depends on what you wanna do. It is better if they're in the separate budget, because then we got apples to apples, and then you know what we've got.
Right, I think
So-
that's,
Yeah.
have it separated from the regular budget.
So they could go in on 11/12 with the capital expenditures and the debt service. So they're earlier.
Yeah,
Who? You mean the department?
Yeah, let's say somebody says, I need 3 more people. Okay,
Yeah.
rather
Right.
than just stick it in the budget and you have to figure it out, and then all of a sudden the budget looks bigger and other people say, why is that larger? The additionals have been separated. Most years we couldn't have additionals, but we had additionals last year, which is part of the overall discussion that went on.
Right.
And a couple of other times we had additionals, but I think all the other years we didn't have those from like 2000 up.
Yeah, I like that idea of having a meeting just for those.
So we could put
The
those in,
12th is
that might
a
be.
regular workshop,
Yeah, so
not
they'll
a
give you
meeting.
more
This
time.
is a meeting night,
Yeah.
11/6.
Yeah, good point, Howard. I would put the additionals in with the capital and the debt service.
since they caused so much trouble last
Right,
year, I
yes.
think that we need to talk about them
They're
separately.
earlier. Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, excellent.
Right. Yeah, I think that looks good.
All right, so we head into December, and there's time for an additional budget workshop if we need one, because we're not jammed up here, so that's good. So that's 12/10, only if you need one. And 12/17 is the public hearing, and all will go well this year, so that then.
There isn't gonna be more, there's not gonna be a repeat of last year.
No, well, no, absolutely
I
not.
told Caleb, if you do that again, I'm going to hurt you.
I
You
don't,
sit next to him.
That's, I think he believed me.
No idle threat,
I
I'll
think he
tell you.
believed me.
I don't think anyone would have thought, you know.
It was an idle threat.
Well, no.
No.
What would have
happened last year
happened,
would
I
have
know,
happened.
I just,
Yeah.
it was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. So then that gives us the time to put the budget together, and we're done. All right. So
I think that, so, really what we're doing is, we're gonna have,
we'll be starting in July,
right,
like you talked about.
at the meeting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, will we have other stuff to discuss?
I suspect we'll probably, you got all the buildings, you've got additionals, who only knows? We'll have the facility
So when in,
reviews,
so we're meeting on our,
23rd or 30th.
Are we gonna share this draft
Yes.
budget calendar with the
Yes.
counselors beforehand?
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
yes. Because then they have to make,
Good
you know,
idea.
hopefully their schedules
Yeah.
fit that all.
okay.
Yeah, definitely. No, this is good to start early. I'm always in the, you know, the last couple of years, I've been in quite a crunched-in period there.
Well, something as important as putting together a multi-million-dollar budget should actually
Yeah.
take a long time to do so that we do it right. That's how I feel about it anyway.
Well, for the items that I do and some of the other people, we actually start a long time ahead. You know, you all just don't know it because you need to be involved at that point.
Right.
Because we're collecting the data and setting everything up.
Right.
And looking over the trends and
But
stuff.
I think having workshops is gonna help us a lot as a council to get to know each other and hopefully wind up on the same page
Mhm.
so we can speak with one voice representing the entire community.
That would be excellent, and it also will give you more time to be able to actually look at things.
Right. Definitely.
That's good. All right, so we're all excited about the budget calendar here.
So our meeting, this committee's meeting schedule is set, now the
Yes.
budget schedule is set.
Mhm.
As our proposal.
It's proposed.
Yeah, your proposal. Yeah, that's good.
That works.
So the second item, which will be very brief, is the borrowing of funds for the capital improvement plan. So we got the bids in, and I'll pass around the sheet. The low bidder was TD Bank, 3.05%. They gave us the amount of what the interest is. But the rates were all in the threes for the 706,000, which was the total, and then if we broke it up into compartments of 500,000 for paving and 206,000 for miscellaneous capitals, and definitely I would keep them all together. So when we look at the Maine Municipal Bond Bank estimate report, that is based upon last fall, and the rates are going up, but you can't input other rates. So whatever we have from the bond bank, we know it will be a bit higher, we just don't know how much higher. So right now, if the rates and everything had stayed the same, which was our assumptions to at least get going here,
That was in the twos, wasn't it?
that was in the twos.
Do you have another one of these?
Yeah. I can give you one. The total interest for the Maine Municipal Bond Bank, which is in 2.2 to 2.99, so basically 3, with a sliding scale, was a little bit over 106,000. So then the low bidder from the June RFP has an interest rate of 3.05. Total interest is $133,505. So it's about a little bit over $27,000 higher amount with the bond bank over a 10-year period. However, we do not know what the rates will be with the bond bank later on in the year, and they're not giving out projections yet. So
And they can, if we go with a bank, the rate is the rate.
The rate
With
is
the
the
bond bank, they can
Is
change
this-
the rate.
This a 10-year term, just like the
10-year,
bond
yeah,
rate?
10-year term. So at this point, we've got to do both, keep on going with both. Now, the bond bank will start firming their pricing up. Their applications are due in August 1st.
When is this paving gonna get done? Not until next year?
No,
No,
it will get
September.
done in September.
Okay.
There's work that needs to be done by highway, and Steve wanted to be here when it was done.
Yeah.
And the way this is working, it actually.
I know that
Yeah,
after a certain point, you can't pave.
yes. That's supposed to be October 15th, but it's better to get it done in September.
Okay.
It depends on the weather. Sometimes there's been really great days to pave in October, and other times not.
Yeah, September's a good time to do a lot
September
of
is good,
things.
because it's still humid. So basically, at this point, with the information that we have, we gotta continue in both veins here. The
Right.
bids for the banks are good until after the July meeting, because it's scheduled that way. I will continue to call the bond bank, and I'm gonna do some trending. I signed up for free financial analysis of amortization rates and stuff to see what they think the rates will be on 10-year bonds and others, because I know it will be higher than 2.2 to 2.99.
Right, we have to have something to, they have to give us something to compare to this.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Mhm.
I know that I've asked this question before, do we always have to go with the low bid when we send out RFPs? And I don't know the answer to that.
We do unless there's a reason to disqualify the low bidder.
Well, I'm looking at this, and TD Bank is a Canadian bank,
Oh, I know, yeah. Mhm.
and Camden National is a Maine bank who is very quickly growing. And if I had my druthers,
Mhm.
I'd prefer it to be Camden National.
Okay, so
So maybe we could negotiate with Camden National, see if they would give us a slightly lower or something more in line with TD Bank. It's one thing to do business out of town, but to do business out of country, I just have such a hard time with that.
Yeah, that's the TD Wealth is where we have our cemetery
Right,
monies in which we make a lot of money.
right.
They do an, exceptional job.
I
There's
think
always
that if-
opportunities to do things like that. I think
I think that would tell the people in town that even though we might spend a little more, we're keeping the money in Maine.
Mhm.
And Camden National dumps money everywhere.
Well, they have been doing a lot.
They just took the ice arena in Augusta.
Yep, they have been doing a lot of prices. So basically, I will contact the bond bank again and see if we can get some, a little bit better idea of the rates. But the rates will be higher than what is on their amortization charts. Because the only one you can go into to get your fall set up is the fall 2018, and all rates are going up. The rates are going up on the interest, the rates are going up on CDs, so the
Sounds
rates
to
will
me
go
like
up.
we're gonna be going with the bank.
We'll see, but we don't
Okay,
know
why-
right now.
Okay, but
We just
where
don't know.
are the interest rates right now?
We-
Higher than those?
We can't, right now, they're not giving
It was,
out.
it was
an
based
estimate.
on the previous
Yeah,
year.
it's fall 2018, that's all they're saying. But they do another analysis, and then usually the month before the applications are due, they start projecting out rates and stuff. So in a couple of weeks, we'll probably be able to get better information and see where we're going. If we didn't have to do the bond bank application, we could get the money sooner. We won't have to deal with the temporary borrowing. You don't have to do all the applications, which is like a box of materials, but less than the water sewer one, so it won't be as complicated. And then you know what the rates are, which is good, and it's the same amount, so you got the same payment every year, which is helpful.
Which is extremely helpful.
Yeah, it
And,
is.
and my preference would be to go with the banks and not the bond bank.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's-
unless they come up with a considerably lower interest rate,
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just have to see right now. So that's where we're at right now. It's not too far off, but we're comparing 2018 fall, because that's all we have in the bond bank.
For now.
To rates that would be issued for July borrowing in 6 months later.
Right.
When you get a bond through the bond bank, and you get a rate set, when you get your money, all right, does that rate stay fixed through the 10 years?
It will stay fixed according to the different rates in the years. So it starts out usually lower,
Right.
and then
I remember
it
seeing that.
goes higher. But that is what it will be. So
Okay.
it will become fixed too. You just will not have the same payments. Your payments creep up,
Yeah, they
basically.
do. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Which probably isn't good if we're gonna
You-
borrow more money. and
You're
do
paying the
more
same
things.
amount of principal every year with the
Mhm.
bond bank, Okay.
All right. So the last item we got on the agenda is to do the projections for the debt service and what we have. So I projected this out for a 11-year period.
I'm gonna
just so-
come in and sign one.
Okay. Yep,
I haven't done it.
okay. Yep, we can just put these in.
Yeah.
All right, so, I took the water sewer off, and now it's very easy to look at. So I did an 11-year period, 2019 is the first year, and then 10 years. And that worked out perfectly, because there would be bonds that would be issued for the new projects that would be paid off by the Pittsfield Future Fund that goes for 10 years. So the ones that we have now, are the capital projects, the second category, all departments except water, sewer, enterprise business funds. We have the waste transporter lease purchase, which is the same amount and gets paid off with $1 in 2022. So then that is paid off.
Yeah.
And then the fire pumper is paid off in 2026, and that too is the same amount. You have to pay the $1 in the end if you purchased it. And the highway paving bridge, this was our highway paving that we did, a small amount of paving, it was under 100,000. And we also did borrow money for bridge and culvert work. And because the state was doing so much work there was only one or two bidders out there. And
Right.
so their prices were higher for the state, the prices were higher for the town. So we did get a nice job on the Sebastopol culverts reline, so we didn't have to dig up the road. But we still need to look at the Crawford Bridge area, that still needs some work.
Crawford, on the Crawford
Crawford
Road.
Road, that's the one where the abutments are crumbling. It's not dangerous, but it needs to be
It
addressed.
needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
So fix it.
Yes.
Let's not wait till it crumbles.
No. So that is one project that we will have for 2020, and is on the list. So that's the first part, and you can see the totals over to the right.
Yeah.
All right, so probable additions, and these are listed at 2018 rates, just
Right.
because of the bond bank. So I think that they will be a little bit higher here. The excavator for the highway lease, which water sewer will also be leasing, and there's a payment in their budget. I have found out that, and I didn't know this, that highway wants a bigger excavator than what water sewer can use. So they have been talking about 2 excavators, but we're not getting 2 excavators, because we can't do that.
Right.
So we're gonna get 1. When Steve comes back, we'll resolve what we're gonna get. 'Cause there's a.
There must be one in between.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
come on now, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if we had a few $1 million to throw around, we'd go buy 2 excavators.
One
but,
excavator is all we need, yeah, and that would be good. So that figure is what was an estimate that one of the employees had given me, and the other one thinks it's not the right figure. So we'll just have to see where we're going with that. We'll get that resolved as soon as highway foreman's back. So then we've got the paving loan to be determined and the miscellaneous capital projects to be determined using the amounts that were on the Maine Municipal Bond Bank. So that gives you the 10 years from 2020 to 2029 and the total cost there.
Okay, where are you?
Yep, so the second
Right.
part, probable
Right.
additions going from
Yeah.
left to right
Yeah.
has your totals for the highway excavator
Right.
part, and the sewer water is in the other part. Paving and the miscellaneous capital, so the second 2.
That's the paving we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
the 706,000 for the paving and the miscellaneous capital projects.
I'd like to see a list of those. Do we have a list of what those miscellaneous?
Yes,
Projects are.
it's in your budget book under the capital
Mhm.
budget.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I have a copy here that I.
Yeah, no,
for you.
I can read a book.
Okay, all right.
No
So-
more paper, Catherine, no more paper.
I know, we have enough paper. So this gives you an idea, you can see the ups
Yeah.
and downs here, because once the highway paving and the waste transporter go away in 2023, you see your opportunity there, which by then will likely have to be another fire truck, but there's other things too.
Not necessarily.
There's other things too. Well, they've been talking about it.
They've been talking about are they still talking about the ladder truck?
They have permission for a used ladder truck. So,
I mean, they make a good case for it because we have a lot of 3-story buildings, but
if we could find the right used one, it will be used so
which Dean loves to
infrequently.
go looking for
Yeah.
Yeah,
those.
infrequently, hopefully, it can survive.
So this is like 1.7
Mhm.
million
Mhm.
over 10 years, or 11 years.
11 years, yes.
Based on what we've got from the past and
Mhm.
what we've
Will
are
likely.
proposing.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
So
Now,
some is
at-
from the past, okay.
At the last meeting we had discussion and you presented figures regarding the potential, not saying written in stone, but the potential for additional loans for
Mhm.
2020 and 2021, you know, in a similar amount to what we're borrowing.
Yes, if we did the 706,000.
In order to catch up.
Mhm.
So that would add probably
Yes.
another, well, at least
Yeah, I can go back and add those in a different color.
At least
That would be
700
good,
yeah,
and
for the
more
next- just so we can
thousand.
Yeah,
see.
put that in there. Because
Because
the,
we have to make up for lost time. There's
Yeah.
too much that has gone undone. And so now, this is why I say, the people in town and taxpayers are not gonna be happy, which is why a good reason to have the workshop, so they can hear our discussions and know that we understand their concerns. I want them
It's
to
going to be hard to
understand
get
our
them to keep
constraints.
quiet.
It's our constraints.
Yeah.
They need to understand, okay, if you want this, it means we have to borrow money, and this is what it does to the budget. So,
This is what it does to your taxes.
exactly.
the one thing that we have going for us is most towns do not have a future fund, so that is a really, a really great asset that we have. Most towns.
Well, we also have the CDs, the laddered CDs,
Oh,
and
yes,
we could start using those.
Yep.
We've got some interest there, and we'll have more once we get to.
Because all the interest has been just rolling over, correct?
Yes.
So, I think it's time to start using it to do some of the smaller projects that people would like to see done. Some of the feel-good stuff.
Yep, no, I
I
understand.
think if we do a little bit of feel-good stuff, it will go a long way.
Yes, no, I
To
understand.
making people happy.
Yes,
Or,
we've been working on the feel-good stuff.
I
in the-
know,
In the exterior.
but, right, but there's still a lot of things
Oh,
that I think
yes,
that we
yes,
could do.
there's
and-
always a lot in that area, definitely. All right, so I will insert, the use of the Pittsfield's future funds, in here, with the Maine Municipal Bond Bank assumptions on where 2 more borrowings would put us.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to look at that potential over the next couple of years
Yeah,
anyway.
I wouldn't see, I know you need another year, you may not need to do it, the 3rd year, we'll see.
Now, we may need to borrow but less,
Yes.
or we may need to be able to, since some of the things are retiring by 2021, it looks like, in
Yeah.
2022,
Mhm.
we may be able to play catch up after that, so.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate. A lot of towns just borrow to the hilt where it's just scary, or they don't have any money and have to get a tax anticipation note, just a few months into the year.
Yeah, well,
So we are very fortunate, but we're sort of at the end of, getting near the end of the
we're
cliff.
at the precipice.
Yes, exactly, that's where we're at.
And we just need to jump off and do it.
Well, hopefully have a parachute.
Yeah, I was gonna
Well,
say,
I'm not a
we're gonna
parachute,
stay
but
on.
I really,
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've said this before, but I really think we need to start doing things, and so the public can see that we're not just sitting around doing nothing. A lot of people think that.
Well-
Apparently, especially one person thinks that.
Well, in any case, anything else you'd like to discuss? We're on our way.
I do. Okay, now I gotta go home and put all these dates in my
Oh, yeah.
calendar.
A lot of dates.
And then I have to go through my calendar and write them all down on a piece of paper. So I can get it.
Yeah, I wanted to say, we've also got First National wants to come in the area too, so they're gonna bid on everything from now on.
First National?
Yeah, First National.
That's what the bank was.
I know, way
I
back
thought it
when.
went away.
It did, but they're.
But it's making a comeback?
Yeah, they're making a comeback, probably. as a
Good, maybe
different
they'll
bank.
take over People's. I know, I said that on camera, didn't I? Well. Okay, so. On our financial finance committee schedule, we are not meeting during Egg Festival, correct?
Correct, yes.
It was recommended, but we're definitely not going to.
Yeah, it was
I'm gonna take
recommended we
that.
not do it.
Yeah, and the same for Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, yeah. I just put the schedule together as it would have been and then recommended no.
Would you be so kind, if you have the time, to, or have one of the ladies do what the council workshops, where they would fall, be on a
Okay.
Tuesday night, and put all those dates together like this?
Yes, yes.
Just so we can see, and just because a workshop is scheduled, doesn't mean that we have to have it. If we don't need it, then we don't have to have it.
No, we can do that.
But I'd like to see what it looks like in
Do you wanna-
conjunction with all these other dates.
Okay, do you want me to put it, do you want us to do one that has the council workshop and the finance committee together?
Yeah,
Okay.
That'd be good.
Let's do that.
that would be very helpful.
Yes, yes, because that's the major amount of your meetings.
Right. So if we go with the workshops in between our regular meetings, we will be having 4 meetings a month. But 2 will be very relaxed. We'll be sitting at a table like this, we won't be sitting at our desks. It'll be a totally different atmosphere.
No, that setup that we had for one of our meetings was very nice.
Yeah.
But it is hard to move the desks.
Well, I think what we need to do is investigate buying 2 8-foot tables.
So if we just leave them here and then put them over there.
Put them in the back room, and then when we're gonna have a meeting, bring them out, set them up. That 2 8-foot tables together should be enough room for us with all our paper.
No, that's a good idea, because there are other groups, the one item that we noticed, they feel so far away, like they were sitting around the
I
little
do at a
table.
council meeting. I think they should be moved in, the desks should be moved in a little bit more. I feel like I'm shouting across the canyon.
We can hear you.
Well, I have a more commanding voice than some people, sorry. I always have trouble hearing Heather.
Yeah,
What's that again? Could you say that again?
This setup would work good for the smaller committees, because the theater committee, they're uncomfortable with the setup, and so.
I
with
am
these-
too. I mean, it's not a very friendly setup either.
It's more of a formal one. Yeah, it's the most formal one I've seen in towns.
Yeah. I mean, well, in the cities, they're
Yeah,
all,
it's like a
they're all
city.
lined right
Yeah,
up.
and the podium
Yes,
set up
and all
and
that,
everything.
happy malarkey. So, yes, that would be good if those 2
Yeah. I'll put that
calendars
together.
were combined.
Yeah,
so
that
we
will
could-
help all of you, and that will help me too, because I would do that.
To
too.
see it in one place, right. And I know the ladies are busy, but if
Mhm.
somebody could had a minute to work on it.
Oh, certainly.
And just so people are prepared, I talked with Catherine, had a few conversations with Catherine. I've been spending time in the office, volunteering, helping with some projects,
You've been very helpful.
floating ideas back and forth, trying to realign the job descriptions, realign the workload, and I've come to the conclusion that we need 2 more positions there. We need to reinstate the position that takes care of the water department, because that is so complicated. And we need the second position to spread the workload more evenly, and so Mike can be truly the assistant town manager.
He's filling in everywhere.
Right now, he's
Yeah.
just all over the place.
Yes, yes.
And,
It's a good background for a while.
yes,
Yeah.
but how long has he been here?
Maybe end of August.
So almost a year. So he's got a pretty good idea how the office runs, how the
Yes.
finances runs. Now he needs to start going to meetings with you, he needs to,
Which was the original plan.
right, and he needs to start learning how to write grants like you do. And he needs to basically shadow you so that we're not left in the lurch. If you're on vacation, I mean, this is,
That was the plan, so I can use
right,
up some
you can take a
time.
vacation.
Yeah.
God forbid you get a cold and you don't come in for a couple of days, the place doesn't fall apart.
Well, I wouldn't for a couple of days, but.
Well,
yeah,
you
no,
never know,
but I
because you
do-
never know who's gonna come in and create havoc.
Some people like to do that, yeah, that's true.
But,
Luckily, only a few.
I'm
Okay,
gonna advocate.
so we're all
for it.
set on the warrant.
All set?
So we're all done.
Yes,
Okay.
and I will come
You'll
into
come in
the
tomorrow,
office,
yeah.
I'm coming in tomorrow, I will do that.
All right, very productive meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Howard.
No problem, thank you.